right. All right. Well, with that, I am going to hand off to Mr. John Fry. Thank you so much. And I'll be back here manning the chat and providing links. If you need anything, let me know. John, it's all yours.
Thank you, Sarah. It is awesome to be here today. I probably crossed paths with a good amount of you. I've been part of the channel for quite a few years, spent 10 years at ConnectWise from 2010 through 2020, and did a year at Cisco. And then my friends at Liongard kept tapping me on the shoulder, had a conversation with them, and it just made sense. I couldn't be happier to be here. Liongard is an amazing company, not only from a software perspective, but probably more importantly, the people you meet. They really do care about your success. And I'll just leave you with a tidbit before I hand it over to Nate. I was on a webinar not that long ago and with other Liongard partners, and I was looking at the chat, and many of the people were chatting about how well their onboarding went. So think about all the MSP type solutions that you've onboarded with, and can you say the same thing? Chances are probably not. And this is real. I validated it internally. I reached out to my contacts that run Liongard, and I'm like, is this real? It's real. So think about that as far as your consideration of Liongard. It is an awesome experience. Our team is motivated. They're excited. They're happy. They're great people. And like I said, I couldn't be happier to be here. And then, of course, through this process, I've been able to meet Nate, and Nate is just an amazing guy. I mean, you get to know him. He's got a great haircut today. He prepared for the webinar, and I'll hand it off to Nate.
John, you're too kind. My name is Nate Atala. I am our MSP practice leader. So I'm fortunate enough to get to work with a lot of our great vendors like Liongard and deliver a message to you guys about how to help you be successful in your endeavor and how you can more efficiently deliver managed services and optimize your service execution. So that's been a huge part of kind of narrative that D&H has been putting out to everyone, and we really feel like that's a market differentiator, that we're really there to help you and assist in achieving operational efficiency and be able to provide thought leadership and instruction to help you grow your business. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Scott.
Yeah, hello everyone, and I think my intro is pretty much ditto to everything that both our esteemed colleagues with me here today got into. But no, definitely looking forward to it. Just a little bit about me. I've spent 6 years working in the MSP space. I joined Liongard about a year ago. And overall, 20 years working in technology. My time in the MSP space, I started as kind of employee number one. So everything, I wore every hat from that help desk to the VCIO, helped out with the sales team, helped out with marketing, ran events, did presentations. I'm also an adjunct professor with NewPass and Harrisburg University, where I'm teaching cybersecurity to the future generation of our cybersecurity pros, because let's be honest, we need more than we can get right now. So anything that I can do to help the community, I do my best to help out on a regular basis, and I try to give back. So please don't keep any questions on your chest today. Get them out there, even if it doesn't have to do with the presentation. There's a lot of knowledge here today. And if we can't get to the answer today, we are going to help you find that answer. So don't leave a question off the table.
Is that a greater than or less than symbol in your name? I'm trying to decipher that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a period, but apparently I fat fingered. Okay.
I like your style.
Yeah. So it's the R is actually less than the Davis. But it was a great equation. But let's get into today's presentation on how to become a more data-driven MSP. And we're going to start with a brief overview of Liongard and overall the automation platform, which it is, and how it's designed to help you standardize, secure, and scale your MSP with automation. Then we're going to dive into a live session where we'll address some of your questions directly while showcasing Liongard's capabilities. Again, no questions are off the table, so chime in anytime, use the Q&A section within Zoom and even the chat window. And in fact, go ahead and test it now, and everyone just say hi. And as you're typing that in, I want you to understand the whole value here is so that you can guess less and know more. And I'm glad to see we had, okay, there we go. One participant in there, Tom. I appreciate you playing along with the game and writing hi. I think he should get an extra name in the hat for the raffle or something for actually participating. So let's keep going. Today's IT landscape is complex, and you're probably managing IT with data that's scattered everywhere. Each of the systems that you support, it has its own portal, its own reporting, its own alerting. You have to look at them individually, usually tenant by tenant or customer by customer. It's impossible to keep up with everything. But then again, why would you ever want to keep up with all the things the hard way? And that's manually. For one, you don't want to sacrifice your profit. I get it. But you need to be able to rely on accurate information on your customers and the systems that you support and have data that you can actually trust. There's just not enough cycles in the day. And this guy right here in the middle, that's one of your best engineers. And do you know what he's thinking when he's looking at this picture? He's pulling his hair out. You want to know why so many IT engineers are going bald? It's because they don't have good data or they're doing it the manual way. And there were many days before I integrated Liongard at the MSP I was at that I was sitting at my desk and legit, I'd be pulling hair and I'd just be frustrated at the repetitive manual work that I had to do. You must have visibility into these systems and you need it across the entire stack. While you can, and all this while you continue to grow and scale. So as you're growing and adding more things onto their workload, they're overwhelmed, they're stressed, and let's be honest, they can't keep up with it all, but they will do it with a smile on their face because they know that's what needs to accomplish. So why should data matter to you? And it comes down to, I think, setting that right expectation. So when you start your sales process, your initial process is to gather as much information as possible. You want to be clear on what is and what isn't supported. And ultimately, you're providing that scope of work or that the pitch to the customer on what you're going to serve. And that's just the beginning of what you're able to capture when you go out and pitch your service. If they sign up with you or when they sign up with you, now it goes through onboarding and making sure that you have that smooth handoff from sales knowledge and data the whole way into the technicians. Typically, you should have around a 30-day transition period. And that's eliminating, reducing.
Bless you.
Excuse me, I had to sneeze. That's going through that handoff from sales. You want to have that 30-day transition period where you're eliminating, reducing the uncertainty of what's changed and when. And why you need that smooth process is because you don't know what you don't know. The tools that you have may not see everything because your RMM, that's great. That's your heartbeat monitor. That's going out there and that's giving you that crucial information, the pings of your, typically your workstations and servers. You may throw some switches and some firewalls in there, but a lot of times it's really looking at your workstations and servers. But what about the switches? What about the NAS devices? What about, the deep information that your RMM's just not capturing? Your network management tool may not capture it either. And at the end of the day, you can't secure what you can't see. And what this does is, you've gone through this sales process, you've now onboarded the customer. So either you have this manual stack of documentation or this really, really giant report that you're trying to make sense of what's important out of it. And that's all manual time that you're going through and trying to identify what actually matters. With Liongard, you can streamline that entire process because now your visit for that onboarding isn't stopping in and documenting everything. It's going in and deploying Liongard and taking pictures and then going back to the office and analyzing it based on the thresholds and the metrics that you've created inside Liongard as your best practices. So this allows you to ensure your SLAs that aren't being enforced until after the transition are now getting enforced sooner. And it allows you to establish that core documentation. And that core documentation is that data. And that data is what matters. It's going to matter with your customers. When I was the VCIO at the last MSP I was at with Liongard, I was able to turn around a report and have a 1-month check-in after onboarding, or our 30-day meeting. And in that 30-day meeting, with the rich data that I captured, I was able to tell them what they had, where their risks were, and give them a 3-year plan. The looks and just the overall experience that they're like, oh my God, you actually know what we have, and you did this all in 30 days. My last IT vendor was with us for 2 years and they didn't know all this. It makes a huge difference, especially when you're building trust with that new customer. And that's thanks to that automation process. You know, that manual way is you're using Excel, Word, OneNote, PDFs, photos, etc. And you're spending days. With the automation, you're getting that network discovery. You're getting the network devices, the deep diagnostics of servers, who has access to what shares. You're getting information from your switches, what firmware, firewalls, what ports are open, and so many different components in between. Liongard has over 75 inspectors, so we're literally probably hitting the majority of what each and every one of your customers has. Automation is much better looking than an ARP table. And then using that MAC address lookup table online to figure out what's on the customer network, your onboarding has to be a smooth process. And again, if you want to try to deliver within 30 days and make that big impression, you must go towards that automation. And you need to automate as much as you can. You need to eliminate that manual process, automatically update the information so the data doesn't get stale. I mean, sure, if you have a great onboarding process out the door and you get all this data, but no one visits or updates it, that's manual documentation. That's like going to Best Buy, buying the latest and greatest computer, and by the time you get it home, Intel announces there's a new processor that they just released. You know, it's always going to be outdated if you're doing it manually. Getting the alerts when the information changes, you know, that's smart alerting. Review historical history, audit those changes. Yes, Liongard even does change management. And what all that does is that enables you to build that relationship, build that trust, and become the strategic partner that they're looking for, and not just another bill or that outside vendor. Data is going to drive your visibility and your insights. So it's not just the value add, like I just went over as that VCIO, but there's ROI hidden everywhere when you're talking about good data. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just to the customer. It's monitoring the blind spots that traditional tools can't see. That's going to help your team understand and find things and actually become proactive in the supporting process. Monitoring all the systems and services. Again, it's that edge of being able to be proactive. Our actionable alerts are completely customizable. So you can customize and put an SOP right inside that documentation. So now Liongard is being your triage technician as well as the alerting system. So you can cut down on ticket resolution times. You can use it so that all of the resources the technician needs to solve the problem are right there. You can even use it to upsell as you have the capability of adding metrics for additional items inside that ticket. Build that into your SOP of, if this doesn't match this, schedule a call with your account manager or your VCIO. And that helps you uncover those potential security gaps. Like, what firmware version is this on? What is the current firmware version? As we get more and more, and if you look at the latest PCI compliance regulations, it actually says no network printers are allowed on the same network as a credit card processing terminal. And what that is printers are one of the devices that typically don't get firmware patches, because once it's working, right? That's kind of the mindset. But there's security risks. So the only printers now, according to PCI, that are allowed on that credit card processing network are those that are plugged directly in via USB. So no more of that network. Those IoT devices that are everywhere, we're going to see as offices open back up. In fact, I think D&H's office, you guys are open back up, what, September, October? Going back into the office, a few days a week. But, it's when you get people going back into the office, you're going to not just get the person coming back. Within the left, The average user was using what, 1, 2, maybe 3 IP addresses. When they come back, they probably got a smart picture frame that they may want to bring back with them so they can remember more of like being at home. So they're going to have their computer. They're going to have it potentially a tablet, a smartwatch, a cell phone, potentially an IoT device. You're talking 5 to 7 IP addresses per person. And that's really going to open up security risks that if you're not monitoring for it now, when people come back to the office, the risk is going to be tremendous. And everything becomes clear when you have data. So you know what's going on. Without the data, you don't know what you don't know. I think the biggest one here is I had a user, this was a healthcare facility, 24 hours. There was a user that, every day at 2 a.m., they would plug a personal laptop into a physical network port and watch Netflix for an hour, hour and a half. And doing random scans using Liongard, I was able to identify a unusual device. It wasn't tied in Active Directory, so we had to, do some research to find out what it was. And we found every day this user was doing that because at that time, all the residents that they were responsible for were asleep. And it went against the company's computer use policy, the acceptable use. So knowing what is going on is crucial, and data drives knowledge. From there, you can get into, what services you're offering. You can find out what your gaps are. What other potential services can you offer? What KPIs are you using to measure it? Or really, are you undercharging for the service? Because now you're coming in and Liongard literally is going to make it seem like you just gained 10 employees overnight, because we're going to give your employees time back. We're going to give your billing people time back. We're going to give the management teams time back. Across the board, we're going to give time back. So to those customers, it's going to feel like you just went on a hiring spree and you just brought in a bunch of new people. And that's where you get into the efficient and scalable. And, when I say it's going to make it feel to the customer that you just hired more people, and it's because of the power that automation can bring you and your team. And that's what allows you to be scalable. If you were to go out and tell your techs, hey guys, we just signed a 200 employee customer or a 200 seat customer, are they going to be stressed out thinking, oh my God, we're not going to be able to handle it? Or, oh my God, we already have so much to do, we can't take on something that big? And to you as the business owner, you're going to be like, this is a big break. This is a big payday. This is a big account. It's our biggest account. And it may not be your biggest one right now, as I don't know the scope of everyone I'm talking to, but it's that nature of you want to bring those bigger customers in, because that builds your reputation and it builds that stance that you are that trusted partner. When you get Liongard into place, when you say, hey guys, we're bringing a 200 seat customer in, they're like, okay, we'll get Liongard in. We're going to find out what they have, and it's going to be a piece of cake. Some people are obviously still going to be on the weary side. They're going to be like, oh, I don't think we can handle this, or hopefully it's not noisy. But once you get rich data and your techs see the data, and when they understand what they're looking at, they're like, oh, that's the same as this one over here. That's 30 seats. It's just, an extra 100 employees. We can handle that. And it builds the confidence because they have rich data to go off of. Versus you're just feeding them a number of 200 and they're like, oh, good God, they probably got malware everywhere. No, blah, blah, blah. When you're efficient and scalable, you get that profitable outcome because it allows you to be focused, efficient, more proactive, less reactive. Measuring that service delivery, you gain time back because you're not wasting it. You're cutting down on the noise. You discover new projects, sales opportunities, service offerings. And at the end of the day, it's all about customer satisfaction. You're not, the first line of your business isn't IT professional, it's customer service. Because when someone hates the job you're doing, it doesn't matter how good you are at protecting their security, they're going to scream and scream and scream because they think you're doing a horrible job. Customer service is the number one aspect of what we do when we are helping other people. So you remember that slide earlier, that mayhem where this guy's pulling his hair out? What Liongard does is it allows you to bring that unified visibility. And you don't have to settle for the nonsense of trying to figure each piece out anymore, thanks to the advanced automation of Liongard. It's a game-changing solution that gives you the unified visibility. That's all this data that's collecting, inspecting the systems for you automatically multiple times a day. And that's what Liongard delivers. The ability for you as the MSP to standardize, secure, and scale, finally with automation. Here you can see that one swoop. You can unify all the different systems, portals, access, alerting into a centralized location, and you can get better metrics and alerting out of it. Liongard's going to feed the core tools that you're using. So Liongard goes out, like I said, we have 64 in production, over 75 inspections between our labs and the production environment. We're collecting all this data. We push it over into documentation tools like IT Glue or Hoodoo. We're pushing tickets directly into your PSA. That's Autotask, ConnectWise, Synchro, ServiceNow, and Kaseya. So we're pushing ticketing right over into your service desk. So rich data right at the service desk, right in the portals that your techs are already using. And what this does is it allows you to scale. And the reporting function, if you're using BrightGauge or Power BI, all the data we collect also pushes over to there. So now you can create those game-changing reports and dashboards that your customers want to see, want to know what's going on, and ultimately allows your tech team to stay in the loop as well. So we're going to take you from this using the combination of manual processes and solutions that really don't work to having that one place that's going to give you unified visibility across the stack. Using Liongard is going to streamline your documentation, your ticketing, and really overall your solution base. From that, and you're going to go, in fact, you're going to see, I think it was right around 2.5 to 3 months after using Liongard that I could actually see the engineers being less stressed because they weren't trying to keep up with all the changes in users, licensing, and systems across the stack. And the reporting was easier with the account managers because now it was easier to pull those reports up with ease and track the changes because they were automatically being added into Liongard and tracked in Liongard's change management. Being worried about cash flow to keep your staff gainfully employed and being bogged down with mundane tasks, to being able to position to really grow your business because they're not stressed out. You're not going to be afraid to bring in those new clients because now they have a handle of what's going on. It also helps your billing people because like I just said, we cover licensing. So how many Microsoft 365 licenses are you paying for that the customer has less licenses on? Are you billing, Scott R. Davis Co. for 10 licenses, but I'm actually have 12 licenses? Or even worse, I'm only using 6 and I told you to cancel 4 of them 2 months ago and you just didn't cancel those licenses. I'm going to come back. I'm going to have that email saying I requested you to cancel it. I want a refund. Microsoft isn't going to give you that refund. Being only reactive to issues as they arise is the way so many MSPs function. And the way to become successful is to be more proactive in preventing the issues from arising. And that's possible only when you have the right data tools driving your data. The Liongard team wants to lead you to victory and away from being a victim of the changing environment that you're living in, and really automate it, streamline it, and bring everything kind of up to the standard here. So I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to go over into a demo here and give you guys a little taste of Liongard. So this is our Liongard dashboard. So here you can see environments. So the environments that we consider are your customers. This is how we bill. It doesn't matter if the customer has 10 sites or 1 site or everyone's working remote. That one customer is one environment, and that's our billing metric. Unlimited users, user access for the customer level, your billing people, admins, etc. We don't bill by the user, we bill by that environment metric. Your total systems are all the different inspectors that we have running. I mentioned we have 64 different systems that we inspect, everything from 3CX and your voice over IP, AWS, the Microsoft 365 stack, your Cisco ASA, iOS, Meraki, SBS, and Umbrella. You have Cloudflare, Datto, Duo, and a whole lot more. Your open alerts, this is how many alerts are opened up inside Liongard. You can have alerts go into Liongard or into Liongard and push over into your PSA. So you can control what tickets you're seeing in your ticketing and what tickets you're seeing inside Liongard. Your total discovered systems, a lot of the systems that we have are actually either parent-child or they discover other systems. So as I run a network discovery and I find a Sonic wall, it's going to say, hey, I found a Sonic wall, we should set that up. And it's going to walk you through setting that Sonic wall up and start getting the rich data out of the Sonic wall. Same thing with like an HP ProCurve switch or a Synology NAS. So what I want to do here is I want to go in and I want to focus on probably two of our systems just to kind of give you a taste of what Liongard has the capability of doing. And first, I'm going to go to Internet Domain DNS because I think it's one that can resonate with pretty much everybody here. So first, I see a list. This is all of my customers. Have you ever got to a point that, say GoDaddy had a security breach and you were trying to figure out who all had GoDaddy? Well, I could come in here, I could go to my metrics, and real quick and easy, I can find registrar contains GoDaddy. I have that list. I export it into a CSV file. I drop it on one of the account manager's desks, and I say, hey, all 32 of these customers or all 32 of these domains need to be reached out to because they may have been impacted by the GoDaddy breach and we want them to change their password. Talk about being proactive. The customer probably hasn't even read the article yet that GoDaddy had a breach. Some of the other things that you can do here, say you have a slow month, SPF and DMARC records. I want to know if this is false. And here, now I can see all of them that don't have an SPF and DMARC record present. So you can really get an idea and see what's going on across all of your customers at ease. And that's the power of rich documentation. But let me go in and show you what that rich documentation really looks like. And I'm going to use Microsoft's favorite fake company, Contoso.com. So first, up top, you see the timeline. You see that on every one of our inspectors, every one of our systems. And this goes back 12 months. It doesn't matter how many inspection times, if it's 3 times a day, 4 times a day, whatever, but you're going to come back or eventually you'll see one of these yellow deltas. I can change my data print down below to show me that time, that entry from 5/11/2021. I can see the changes here. I can see the registrant contact was changed and the admin contact was added. Green means added, red crossed out means it was deleted. So I can see what's going on here. I can see registrant contact before went to null, and here was the admin contact. Think of that time that, the web developer changed the name servers and forgot to move a VPN or forgot to move your MX record. Now you can go back, see exactly what those entries were, what changed, and what they need to be changed back to. But that's the timeline. That's your change management functionality. But as far as the internet domain, I'm giving you the created, updated, the base stuff that you would expect, the registrant, admin, tech, things like that. We're also getting into your DNS hosting vendor, name servers, A records. Here you can see the website region. So Microsoft is hosting this out of Singapore, Dublin, Des Moines, and Washington. So you can really see what region the website is being hosted in. And I'm also giving you some of that email critical data of, hey, I got DMARC, but I don't have that SPF record, or my MX record is going straight to Microsoft 365. So that's the overview tab, but the bread and butter here is this DNS tab. And not just the fact that it gives you all of the metrics from your A's, name servers, everything that's in your DNS, but it's also looking at this points to, and it's telling you where it resolves to and who the operator is of that DNS. So Microsoft controls these IPs, whereas Cogent Communications, is handling this A address here. So it really gives you a lot of insights that you may not have today, and it may be useful when troubleshooting that issue. The other one that I want to show you is our Microsoft 365, because that's another one that's humongously popular. And I think the bread and butter here, probably the biggest selling point is there's already a pre-built actionable alert that will tell you anytime a change occurs with the internal or external forwarding rules, which is so commonly done when someone gets phished. But here you can see our overview. It's giving you company name, the domains, the address. We're giving you the secure score in an easy to read format. So here, say I want to focus on multi-factor authentication. I can come in here and see my MFA. 9 out of my 12 users don't have MFA enabled. My admin account doesn't have MFA enabled. Or say, for example, I'm going through and I'm trying to secure by turning off legacy authentication protocols like IMAP, SMTP, POP. Here I can see 12 out of 12 are in breach. If you've ever tried to go into the secure score inside Microsoft 365, I'll tell you, it's not this easy. We break down your user licensing. So here on the overview, you can see disabled, licensed users, unlicensed users, but we break it down even more inside the licensing tab. The example that I gave you earlier, hey, they're only using 8 licenses, but you're actively paying for 10. Is that one of the things that the customer said, hey, I don't need these licenses anymore? Or is that a conversation of, hey, Mr. Customer, I see you have a couple licenses that you're not using. We can save you some money each month. Calling them and saying, hey, I can save you money, they're going to remember that, especially when you go up and say, hey, it's time to replace that firewall and it's going to be $3,000 or something like that. We also break out the licenses by users. I think the story that goes along here is we've all had that L1 tech that's still kind of green. They get the ticket to add a license, they add it, but they add, the premium license when they already have the essentials. So you have 2 exchange licenses for the same user. I've seen it happen. So we do break it down that way. In our users tab, you obviously get the core information, but quickly I can see who my privileged users are. So here I can see, my mod administrators, my, privileged user, and that's using the quick filter, and you can create your own quick filters as well. You can see if the account's enabled, the latest authentication event, licensed products, password policies. Are they active within the last 30 days? We break down your roles, groups, getting into mailboxes, including your quotas, or getting into the secure score, like I said, domains, organization, applications, service principals, SharePoint sites, and so much more. Again, this is just 2 components of the larger picture of what Liongard brings to you. I can come back in as we go through some Q&A if there's anything that you guys want to see, but I'm going to switch gears and go back over. And really, I think the next step for everybody is to request one of these one-on-one demos. I think that's really where you're going to get the most insight, because it's going to be driven to what your needs are. And if you book a demo and you attend, I believe we're giving out Liongard t-shirts. If not, we're giving them out now. Because that's what the slide says. So get some cool Liongard t-shirts. I think our one colleague has one of the t-shirts on the screen right there. But there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of great things. And the other thing, I got, that one last thing, I'm always big on that one last thing before I go into Q&A, is Liongard hasn't stopped innovating. In 2021 alone, we've added 5 integrations, including Narmada, which is a VCIO tool, Hudo, which is a documentation, Kaseya BMS, Synchro, and ServiceNow for ticketing. We've added enable inspectors, Cisco, Datto Networking, Veeam, Cloudflare, KnowBe4, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, SonicWall, OneLogin, 3CX, and Salesforce. We've enhanced our reporting functionality, and we introduced single sign-on, and there's no single sign-on tax if you use it with Liongard. So we're not stopping the innovation. In fact, you can learn all of this at our docs site, docs.liongard.com. I think we'll post a link, or I'll post a link here in a minute to it. But that is the encyclopedia of everything Liongard. It's written by ex-educators, so it's a tremendous resource, and it's going to outline everything. But with that, I'm going to switch over and open up the door for some questions, and I can go back and forth into the slide if needed.
Hey, Scott.
Hey.
Just a couple thoughts. First of all, with the t-shirts, unfortunately, we don't have any extra smalls because Nate and the D&H team, Jason Bystrak, Ryan Flynn, they all requested extra small, which was an odd request, but we fulfilled it.
Okay.
And then when you think about Liongard, think about it kind of like a dartboard, right? So right in the middle is the bullseye. Those are the things you really need to focus on because it does a lot, right? So don't get overwhelmed with all the things we do. Focus on the bullseye. What are the 2 or 3 most important things you want to accomplish, right? So nail those. And then once you start nailing the stuff in the bullseye, start hitting the other parts of the dartboard. So that was a philosophy that I learned back in my ConnectWise days. And I think it resonates pretty well as related to Liongard as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, and go Buccaneers and Tom Brady.
I just want to let you know, I did drop those links for you. I also included the infographic. So we were really talking about there's different roles within an MSP and what value they also will see and from this solution and like the sanity that they gain. And there's some quick wins, just what John just said. So I placed that in there as well. We have our link to the Ideals portal. This is where we give our MSPs the opportunity to tell us what they want. I mean, this is huge. I mean, you actually have a hand in what our roadmap looks like. And then of course I put the link in for our doc site. And I just want to also remind you, we have our Amazon drawing coming up here just as quickly as we finish up our Q&A. So if you have any questions, or if you want to see something specific that Scott can share with you right now, please provide your questions either in the chat or in the Q&A. It looks like something just came through.
I don't see anything in the Q&A, at least on my end at the moment.
Yeah, so do you have any, can you talk about some of the cloud applications that we support, Scott?
Yeah. So if I go over admin inspectors, I'm going to stack view it here. So as far as the cloud, I showed you the internet domain. We're also looking at your TLS SSL. One of the great things, you know, or I guess it's not a great thing with TLS SSL, but you have the name just slipped my mind, but you have that basic cert, like get cert or whatever it is, and it's a free certification. You know, you can exempt that from the alerts because it automatically renews every 90 days. And you don't want to bombard your tech team while monitoring that alert. So you can set an alert of if expired or something like that for that. But, you know, we have the TLS SSL. We do dark web identity monitoring. That's through the Have I Been Pwned database. Azure Active Directory, antivirus tools like SentinelOne, WebRoot, ESETs are in here. You have the Cisco Umbrella, Cloudflare, ESET, Google Workspace, similar to Microsoft 365 and the 365 suite. One Login, 3CX, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Drive, KnowBe4, Salesforce. There's a ton of great content. There's a lot of resources that your customers in here are already using that it's easy for you to tack on, you know, another $5, $10 a month on their end just to monitor it all.
And speaking of adding that value in the monitoring, I'm actually going to put in another PDF, and this is like, I think, super helpful for you to share the value and what you're providing for each of your customers. And so this is the end user value prop. So when you become a partner of Liongard, you can actually share this document with them and even use it as a prospecting tool as well. So I'm going to drop that link in right here. And I have the Amazon winner as well.
Is it me? Is it Scott?
I'm gonna stop my share so everyone can. We're gonna highlight you here. You know.
I think it's gonna be Nate.
Yeah. So the winner is, and I'm bad with drum rolls, but it's gonna be Melissa Navas.
Woohoo!
Congratulations. And Melissa, I'm going to shoot you over a quick message. If you could just share your shipping, or well, actually, I have your email. We're going to email that gift card over to you. And then please feel free to also sign up for a demo, and we'll get you a shirt too, and get some cool swag. So if there's any other questions, feel free to ask. If not, Scott, Nate, John, any last words?
I'd love to hear a parting word from Nate. I mean, the guy has so many good things to say.
You know, John, you just kind of steal the show sometimes, man. And for the record, I actually wear a size medium, not an extra small. So those aren't always available though. But, you know, thank you to everyone for attending. Obviously, if anyone has any questions or think of anything down the road, in addition to signing for a demo, you can always reach out to myself, Anatala@dnh.com. And obviously, we have a lot of great information at www.dnh.com/cloud that you know, showcases both Liongard and all our other offerings as well. So thank you again to everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great day. Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
guys.